Previously, on Wars That Broke Tumblr, Tumblr burnt. First the shipping wars, fandoms imploded over gay angels and fictional boyfriends, then the tag raids of 2014, trolls and anti-fandom crusaders hijacked the tags, turning safe spaces into cursed war zones. Fandoms were exhausted, the discourse cooled, and for a fragile moment, Tumblr knew peace, but peace never lasts here, because while the site was recovering from emotional whiplash, something else was happening. Not a post, not a reblog, a convention, a real one in person, organized by Tumblr users for Tumblr users. They called it DashCon. It promised guest panels, fandom unity, and a celebration of Tumblr culture. What it delivered in reality was a $17,000 emergency, a plastic ball pit, and the final nail in the coffin for sincerity on this platform. This is where things stopped being ironic and started being tragic, where fandom stopped believing in itself, where the dream of Tumblr drowned in a pool of dollar store plastic. This is the Wars That Broke Tumblr, Episode 3, The Ball Pit Campaign. There was a time when Tumblr believed in something, fandom, community, chaos, but like collaborative chaos, they tried to bring Tumblr into the real world, not as a post, not as a meme, but as a convention, DashCon, named after the dashboard, because of course it was. It promised meetups, fandom unity, panels, guests. It promised Tumblr in person. People were hyped, they raised money, they built a schedule, they got Welcome to Night Vale. It looked legit, at least from a distance. The community felt like this is our moment, but Tumblr has a habit of flying too close to the sun with a ball pit made of wax behind the flyers and promo graphics. DashCon was held together with duct tape, spreadsheets, and raw delusion, and before the doors even opened, the dream had already started to crack. Day 1, the con had barely begun. Then the announcement. DashCon staff told everyone they needed $17,000 immediately or the hotel staff would shut everything down. No warning, no backup plan, just give us the money now.
I'm here at DashCon. We're about to get kicked out unless everyone in this room can accumulate $17,000.
Organizers claimed the hotel had changed the payment terms at the last minute, demanding everything up front instead of in scheduled installments. Whether or not this is true is still debated. They passed around donation jars, directed people to PayPal. Some attendees were crying, some were skeptical, and some donated away.
Any little bit helps. $10, $1, anything helps for us to stay here until the rest of the weekend.
Yes, we have donation back.
Lachlan has the donation back up here.
Because they didn't want the con to end, within an hour, staff claimed they raised the full amount, but there was no receipt, no official confirmation, just the blurry photo of a hotel invoice with the hotel name blacked out. That only made things worse. The trust was already cracking. People on Tumblr started questioning everything, like why wasn't this handled beforehand? Where was the backup funds? Was this just a giant scam? Just to name some of the questions on hand. While some users defended the organizers, others called it the beginning of a con collapsing under its own weight. The $17,000 moment became the event's defining symbol, poor planning, bad optics, and a sense that the entire weekend was running on borrowed time. Even if DashCon wasn't officially cancelled, the illusion that it was ever under control was completely shattered. DashCon wasn't dead yet, but it was falling apart in real time. VIP attendees who had paid extra for perks, panels, and guaranteed access were left with almost nothing. Events were cancelled. Headliners like Welcome to Night Vale had bailed. Some didn't even know they were still being advertised after they dropped out.
I know you guys have been waiting for an extremely long time, but unfortunately what I have to tell you guys is that basically Night Vale just walked.
So what did DashCon offer these disappointed VIPs in return? An extra hour in the ball pit. This wasn't a joke, this was the actual offer. The ball pit itself, an inflatable kiddie pool, roughly 6 feet across, half inflated, filled with a thin layer of cheap plastic balls placed in a corner of a massive, mostly empty room, which also featured a bouncy castle, a couple of sad folding tables. It was technically listed on the con schedule, but no one thought this was going to be the con's main attraction. Within hours, the phrase an extra hour in the ball pit took on a life of its own. Tumblr exploded. People started making fake VIP passes, ball pit loyalty cards, mock reblogs of ball pit war flashbacks. It was the kind of internet meme that moved faster than logic. Rumors started spreading too, that someone peed in it, that it got deflated, that it was later duct taped shut. Some of these are unconfirmed, others are just probable. The ball pit became the symbol of DashCon, of what it promised and what it actually delivered, of good intentions, cheap materials, and fandom dreams collapsing under poor logistics. You couldn't ask for a better metaphor, or a worse one. This wasn't just Tumblr history, this was Tumblr mythology. DashCon was unraveling, the schedule was gutted, panels cancelled, and guests missing. The trust among attendees was eroding rapidly. The cancellation of Welcome to Night Vale's panel was a significant blow to the group who had been promised payment for their appearance, but DashCon failed to deliver the full amount up front, despite having funds in their account. Organizers couldn't provide the remaining fee in time, leading to Welcome to Night Vale to cancel their appearance. This incident highlighted the convention's financial mismanagement and further damaged its credibility. Other guests faced similar issues. N.D. Stevenson discovered that their hotel room, which was supposed to be covered by DashCon, hadn't been paid for. They ended up sleeping on the Welcome to Night Vale team's Airbnb sofa. The Baker Street Babes also withdrew from the convention due to unpaid accommodations. Attendees who had paid extra for events like Welcome to Night Vale panel were offered compensation in the form of raffle tickets, concert passes, and the infamous extra hour in the ball pit. This gesture was seen as inadequate and became a symbol of the convention's failures. Safety and security concerns further marinated the event. Reports indicated that minors were admitted into adult-themed panels without proper age verification, raising serious concerns about the convention's oversight and adherence to its own policies. The lack of professional, security, and personal and inadequate crowd control measures contributed to an environment where attendees felt unsafe and the event's management appeared negligent. The aftermath of DashCon sparked widespread discourse on Tumblr. Users debated the organizers' accountability, the feasibility of fan-run conventions, and the broader implications for fandom culture. The event became a turning point, signaling the shift in the community's dynamics and trust. By the end of DashCon, it wasn't just the schedule that had collapsed, it was the dream. Before DashCon, Tumblr was sincere. Chaotic always, but sincere. People posted their passions, unfiltered fandoms was intense, messy, obsessive, but it meant something. DashCon broke that. After the ball pit, the memes, the $17,000 incident, and the missing guests, something in the platform's cultural DNA shifted. People stopped trusting group efforts, stopped trusting organizers, stopped trusting each other, and who could blame them? The con that was supposed to celebrate the Tumblr community had in just 3 days become a punchline, a warning sign, a tragic case study in how quickly sincerity could backfire. Tumblr did what Tumblr does best. It made jokes, layer after layer of ironic humor, snarky edits, and meme culture, buried the real fallout. No one wanted to be earnest anymore. No one wanted to be that fan, the one who still believed. And so, the culture changed. Fan projects were met with skepticism. Sincere efforts were side-eyed. Conversations became increasingly hostile, defensive, performative. Some users, like N.D. Stevenson, publicly shared their own experiences. Their hotel room wasn't paid for. They slept on the Welcome to Night Vale team's Airbnb couch. Reports surfaced that minors had been allowed into adult panels. Security was minimal, staff were overwhelmed, sleep deprived, and visibly unprepared. Even those who wanted to believe in DashCon couldn't ignore how just unsafe and disorganized it was. The phrase "an extra hour in the ball pit" became shorthand for every overhyped, under-delivered fandom experience to come. This was the tipping point, the beginning of Tumblr's irony era, the moment it stopped being cool to care too much, and once that shift happened, it didn't reverse. DashCon didn't just end a convention, it ended an era. Let's be real, this episode was supposed to be about fandom and convention chaos. Instead, it became the story of a plastic ball pit and a $17,000 panic attack. DashCon wasn't just a failure, it was Tumblr touching grass and getting allergic to it. The con tried to turn Tumblr into real life, and what did that give us? Canceled guests, last-minute fundraising, an inflatable pool, in a cramped ballroom. And you can't make this stuff up. And the worst part, nobody had to. It really happened. The ball pit was never just a joke, it was a meme, it was a metaphor, it was a shared trauma in primary colors. And yes, we made fun of it, but deep down, we wanted DashCon to work. We wanted Tumblr to be something more, something real. Instead, it gave us raffle tickets and existential dread, so we laughed, we memed, we coated our sincerity in layers of irony and moved on. But something changed after DashCon. People stopped organizing, stopped trusting, stopped trying. The culture shifted, and even now, when we joke about it, we all remember what it felt like. The optimism, the collapse, the meme that became legendary. This was the ball pit campaign, a war fought with PayPal links and cheap plastic dreams. fans, and Tumblr, it was never the same again. DashCon wasn't just a disaster, it was a turning point, not just the end of a convention, but the end of Tumblr's ability to believe in itself. People laughed, they memed, they survived, but something shifted after the ball pit. Tumblr got colder, sharper, more defensive. It stopped being about fun, it started being about rightness, because what came next wasn't fandom, it wasn't community, it wasn't ideology. The wars ahead weren't fought with memes or shipping drama, they were fought in callouts, in discourse posts, in purity tests, disguised as fandom takes. Your posts were no longer just opinions, they were statements. Your fandom wasn't just your interests, it was your entire moral compass. And Tumblr, it turned into a battlefield. Next time on Wars That Broke Tumblr, Episode 4, The Ideology Skirmish. #DoNotInteractive.